The CEO asked this single dad for a ride, then saw her father's medal on my mirror. The first thing Evelyn Cross did after I stopped in the snow was insult my truck. She stood beside a dead black SUV on the shoulder of Black Pine Road. Wrapped in a camel coat that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage, holding a phone with no signal and a face full of panic she was too proud to admit. When I rolled my window down, she looked past me at the cracked dashboard. The child's blanket on the passenger side, the toolbox on the floor, and my daughter bundled in the back seat with her inhaler pouch pressed to her chest. Then she said, "Is this vehicle safe?" I almost drove away. Grace coughed once behind me. That kept me from making the satisfying choice. "Safer than standing outside in a mountain storm," I said. The woman narrowed her eyes. "I need to reach the nearest lodge or airport." My driver disappeared. "My vehicle has a warning light and my phone will not connect. Nearest lodge is 12 miles. Airport is closed in this weather. I have a board meeting in Seattle tomorrow morning." "Then you need to survive tonight first." She stared at me like survival was an assistant's task she had already delegated. Grace leaned forward from the back seat. Her cheeks were pale under her knit hat and the first edge of wheeze was hiding beneath her breath. "Dad," she whispered, "is she stuck?" "Yes, bug." The woman heard that. Her expression changed just enough to show she had remembered there was a child in the truck. A decent person would have softened. She did not. "I can pay," she said, "cash, wire, whatever you want. I simply need transportation." "You do not need to pay me to avoid freezing," I said. "Get in." She opened the back door first, then paused when she saw Grace's small backpack. A purple inhaler case, a folded nebulizer mask, a stack of paper maps, and a stuffed fox wearing a tiny scarf. "There is quite a bit of medical equipment back here." Grace's fingers tightened around the fox. I looked at the woman through the mirror. "It is my daughter's. Sit up front. I would prefer the back. I would prefer you not make my daughter move while she is recovering from a pulmonary appointment." The woman took a breath through her nose, controlled and annoyed. "Fine." She shut the back door and climbed into the passenger seat with the stiff posture of someone entering a barn. Snow blew into the cab before she closed the door. The heater fought against the cold. The engine rattled in the old familiar way that had carried Grace and me through 3 winters, 7 hospital runs, and more school mornings than I could count. The woman fastened her seatbelt. "Evelyn Cross," she said, as if announcing a country. I kept my eyes on the road. Noah Bennett. The name did not land yet. It would. For now, she was too busy checking the dashboard, the windshield cracks, the faded registration sticker, and the old coffee thermos wedged near the gearshift in the rearview mirror. Grace watched her carefully. Grace was 8. She noticed everything adults pretended not to say. She noticed whether a person looked at her inhaler with worry or disgust. She noticed when someone called her medical bag clutter. She noticed the invisible questions some adults carried. Is this child going to be a problem? I pulled back onto the snow-packed road. The truck fishtailed once before the tires found grip. Evelyn grabbed the dash. Do you normally drive like this in snow? Yes. I am not used to trusting strangers in trucks. I glanced at the road ahead. Then tonight you can start by trusting the road. Grace made a small sound behind me that might have been a laugh. That was worth more than Evelyn's opinion. For 10 minutes, we drove through white darkness. The storm came sideways across the headlights. Pine trees rose and vanished. The world shrank to the yellow lines, the wipers, the heater, Grace's breathing, and the woman sitting beside me with the smell of expensive perfume and fear. She tried her phone twice, nothing. Then she opened a slim leather portfolio using her phone flashlight to check printed pages. I saw the logo before she hit it, Crosswind Rescue Aviation. My hands tightened on the wheel. I had not heard that name inside my truck in years, not from a stranger, not from someone sitting 3 feet away. Grace saw my knuckles in the mirror. Dad, I am good. I said. Evelyn looked up. You know Crosswind? I kept my voice even. Most people around here do. That does not answer the question. No, it does not. She studied me now, really studied me, but the storm and the dark and her own stress kept her from placing my name where it belonged. Good. Grace coughed again. I reached back without taking my eyes off the road. Inhaler if it climbs. I know. She said softly. Evelyn glanced over her shoulder. Is she all right? She is managing. That sounds like not all right. That sounds like none of your business unless she asks for help. Evelyn turned forward again. After another mile, the road curved near the overlook where Black Pine Ridge dropped into a gorge. The storm thinned for a moment. The headlights caught the old fire watch sign half buried in snow, Black Pine Wilderness Rescue Route 19. Evelyn stared at the sign. Something shifted in the cab. She looked from the sign to me, then toward the windshield, then up at the rearview mirror. That was when she saw it. The metal had hung there for 5 years, a small silver flight medal scorched black around one edge suspended from a faded strip of blue ribbon. Most people thought it was an old military charm. A few asked. I rarely answered. The front carried a wing design. The back had the engraving DC Black Pine 19. Evelyn stopped breathing for one clean second. Then she reached for it. I caught her wrist before her fingers touched the ribbon. Grace gasped behind us. Evelyn's voice came out thin and hard. Where did you get that? I kept the truck steady. Do not touch it. That is my father's medal. Grace whispered. Dad, Evelyn twisted toward me, fury burning through the fear now. My father died with that medal. It was never recovered from the crash site. How do you have it? I pulled the truck onto a wider turnout, slow and controlled, because Grace's breathing had changed. Evelyn did not stop. Answer me. Did you take it from him? Did you go through the wreckage? I put the truck in park. Grace coughed hard, then harder. That was the sound that mattered. Not Evelyn's accusation. Not the medal, not the 5 years of buried ash that rose in my chest, my daughter's breathing. I turned around. Grace, purple inhaler, 2 puffs. She was already fumbling with the pouch, but her hands shook. I got out, opened the rear door, and crouched beside her as snow struck the back of my neck. I helped her seal her lips around the spacer. One slow breath. She inhaled. Good. Again. She took the second puff. Evelyn stood outside the passenger door now, coat whipping in the wind, face white. I looked up at her. If you raise your voice at me again in front of my daughter, I leave you at the lodge and you speak to my lawyer before you speak to me. Her jaw trembled, but not from cold. That medal belonged to David Cross. I know. He was my father. I know. Then how do you have it? Grace leaned against my arm, still breathing too fast. I looked at my daughter first, then at Evelyn Cross. Because he gave it to me before he died. Evelyn's eyes filled with rage and grief. No. Yes. Noah. Grace whispered, using my name the way she did when she was scared I might disappear into the past. I looked at her. We are going to the lodge. No more talking about Black Pine tonight. Evelyn flinched at the word Black Pine. Some names are not places anymore. They are wounds with maps around them. I got Grace settled, closed the door, and returned to the driver's seat. Before I shifted into drive, I tapped the dash camera twice. A small red light blinked, recording saved. Evelyn noticed, Are you recording? Me, I have recorded every mile since we stopped. Why? Because people with power often remember things in ways that protect them. She turned toward the window. For the first time since I found her in the snow, Evelyn Cross had nothing to say. Chapter 2. The lodge sat at the edge of Pine Hollow like a warm lie. Light poured from its windows. Smoke rose from the chimney. A neon sign blinked vacancy in red. The parking lot held 3 trucks. 1 snowplow, and a bus full of stranded college skiers who had no idea the woman stepping out of my passenger seat controlled one of the largest rescue aviation companies in the Northwest. Evelyn opened the door before I fully stopped. Then she paused. She looked back at the medal, her father's medal, my mirror, my past hanging between us. I killed the engine. The sudden quiet made Grace's breathing louder. Dad, she said, can we go home? In a minute. Evelyn stood in the snow beside the truck, one hand on the door, still watching the medal. Through the windshield, you said my father gave it to you. I looked at Grace in the mirror. Her eyes were too wide. Not here. Evelyn's voice hardened. You do not get to decide that. I turned slowly. Yes, I do. She stared at me. I kept my voice low. My daughter had an asthma flare because you shouted in a closed truck during a storm. I got you off the road. That is the end of tonight. Grace looked down at her fox. Evelyn's mouth opened, then closed. She was still angry, but she was not stupid. She had heard Grace cough. She had seen the inhaler. Maybe a part of her knew the child had paid for an adult question. Fine, she said. I got out and pulled her suitcase from the truck bed. It was black, expensive, and useless against mountain snow. I carried it to the lodge entrance. Evelyn walked beside me, coat tied around her shoulders. At the door, she stopped. What is your full name? I gave it to her because there was no point hiding now. Noah Bennett. The change in her face was almost violent. Recognition hit, not memory. Files, reports, legal summaries, company mythology. Noah Bennett, she repeated, the pilot who caused the Black Pine failure. Grace had stepped out of the truck behind me. I heard her small boots in the snow. That sentence reached her before I could block it. I turned around. Grace stood beside the truck, Fox tucked under her arm, the purple inhaler case hanging from her wrist. Her face had gone empty. I looked back at Evelyn. You should go inside. Evelyn's eyes moved from me to Grace. Something like regret crossed her face. I did not mean for her to hear that. But you said it. The lodge door opened. Warm air spilled out with the smell of fried food and pine cleaner. A young woman at the front desk looked at us. Everything okay out there? I handed Evelyn the suitcase. She needs a room. Her SUV is disabled near mile 18. I will call Holt from town dispatch and let him know. Evelyn did not take the suitcase at first. Noah, you know my name. Now, use it through a lawyer. She grabbed the handle. You expect me to ignore my father's medal hanging in your truck? No. Then what do you expect? I looked at the snow-covered road, the lodge, the woman, and my daughter trying not to cry. I expect you to decide whether you want the truth or the version your company sold you. Evelyn went still. I stepped closer, just enough to lower my voice. If you want the truth, tell your board to preserve every Black Pine file before Nolan Pierce touches it. The name landed. This time she could not hide the reaction. Nolan? Yes. He was my father's CFO. He is my CFO. I know. What are you accusing him of? Nothing tonight. Why? Because my daughter is cold. I walked back to the truck. Grace climbed in without speaking. That hurt more than Evelyn's accusation. Before I shut my door, Evelyn said, "Did my father say anything?" I looked at her across the roof of the truck. Yes. Her voice cracked. What? The storm moved between us. Do not trust Nolan. I got in and drove away. Grace did not talk until the lodge lights vanished behind us. Is she going to make everyone hate you again? I swallowed. I do not know. Because of the medal? Yes. Because of the fire? Yes. She stared at the dark window. Can we take it down? I looked at the medal swinging under the mirror for 5 years. That small burned thing had been proof I had not imagined David Cross's last moments. Proof that someone powerful had trusted me when the world called me reckless. Proof that the truth had weight even when I could not lift it publicly. But to Grace, it was not proof, it was a storm cloud hanging in the truck. Maybe soon. I said. She looked at me. Why not now? Because it may still be needed for court. Maybe. For the lady. Maybe. For you. I did not answer right away. Grace leaned back. Dad, I do not like when grown-ups need your pain. I nearly pulled over. Instead, I drove. The road home wound past the old airstrip. Through pine shadows and wind. Our house sat behind Hangar 3 at Mason County Field, a small regional airfield that smelled of fuel, cold metal, and wet grass in spring. I worked there as a mechanic doing inspections on crop planes. Medevac helicopters, and private aircraft whose owners never asked why a man with my hands could read avionics logs faster than most engineers. Tessa Reed's porch light was on next door. Tessa ran the field dispatch desk. Knew everybody's business, and never apologized for using that knowledge to keep people alive. She opened her front door before I shut off the truck. You are late. She called. Storm got worse. Road rescue. She saw Grace's face and stopped. Inside, both of you. I carried Grace's bag while she walked ahead. Tessa wrapped her in a fleece blanket and put water on for tea. I checked Grace's breathing. Better now, but tight at the edges. Peak flow? I asked. Grace made a face. Bug. Fine. She blew into the meter. Lower than normal. But not hospital low. Tessa watched me read it. Bad? Manageable. Good. Then why does your face look like somebody dug up a grave? Grace answered before I could. A lady saw the medal. Tessa's eyes snapped to mine. Which lady? Evelyn Cross, I said. Tessa went very still. The kettle hissed. Grace looked between us. That is bad. Tessa sat beside her. It is big, she said. Big is not always bad. Grace did not believe that. I did not blame her. After tea and a warm shower, Grace fell asleep in my bed, which she only did when the world felt unsafe. Her fox lay beside her. The inhaler sat on the nightstand. I watched the rise and fall of her chest until the rhythm steadied. Only then did I call Sam Carter. He answered on the second ring. Noah. She saw the medal. Silence. Then, who? Evelyn Cross. Sam exhaled. Tell me everything. I did. The SUV, the storm, the truck, the accusation, the dash camera, the lodge, Nolan's name. Sam was quiet for a long moment. You told her to preserve the files. Yes. Good. I also told her David said not to trust Nolan. Less good, but understandable. She called me the pilot who caused black pine in front of Grace. Sam muttered something I was glad Grace did not hear. She may call Nolan tonight, he said. She already has. How do you know? Because Evelyn Cross did not build her life around uncertainty. She will run to the official story first. Then we send preservation letters now. It is midnight. Fraud does not sleep. I almost smiled. Can the metal cards still be read? I have kept the recovery kit for 5 years, Sam said. Bring it tomorrow. I looked toward my bedroom door. Grace has school. Tessa can take her. She already lost enough normal tonight. Sam's voice softened. Noah, I know why you waited. Grace was sick. The evidence was incomplete. You had no money for a war. But if Nolan thinks Evelyn saw that medal, he will not wait for you to feel ready. I know. Then we move before he does. A message came through while I was on the phone from Paige. Heard you were dragging Crosswind back into your life. We need to talk about Grace's safety. I stared at the words. Sam heard my silence. What happened? Paige, of course. The second message arrived. Nolan said Evelyn had a disturbing encounter with you tonight. I do not want Grace exposed to this. My old life had not waited until morning. It had arrived with a lawyer's vocabulary and my daughter's name in its mouth. Chapter 3. I did not answer Paige that night. I took a screenshot, saved it to the folder Sam had made 5 years ago, then set the phone face down. Some people throw punches. Some people send messages that look like concern and function like rope. Paige had always been better with rope. In the morning, Grace woke before sunrise, still in my bed, her hair tangled in her fox under one arm. She watched me pack her school bag from the doorway. Are you going away? No. You are packing too much because you have gym today. And last time your spare inhaler got left in your art cubby. She frowned. That was not my fault. It was partly Captain Fox's fault. She looked at the fox. He has no pockets. Then he is cleared. Grace accepted that. At breakfast, I made scrambled eggs and toast. She took small bites. Storm nights always left her stomach nervous. Is Mom coming? She asked. No. Is she mad? She is concerned. Grace looked up. That is adult for mad. Sometimes. Is she concerned about me or about you? That was too sharp for 8 years old. I sat across from her. She may be concerned about both, but adults sometimes mix their feelings with other people's needs, like the lady in the truck. Yes, she was scared about her dad, but my lungs did not know that. I nodded. No, they did not. Grace looked toward the window. Snow covered the airstrip. The windsock hung stiff and frozen. Dad? Yes. Was the lady's dad nice? I thought of David Cross in a flight suit kneeling beside a half-built avionics panel telling me that a good rescue system should assume humans would panic and still help them find the route home. Yes, I said, he was. Did he like you? Yes. Did you make him crash? No. Grace looked at me for a long time. I know. 2 words, a child's trust, a verdict no court had given me. My chest hurt. I drove her to school after the plows cleared the main road. At drop-off, Grace's teacher, Mia Foster, met us near the door. Mia knew about Grace's asthma plan, her fire anxiety, and her habit of drawing escape routes on the margins of math worksheets. She had a rough night, Mia asked. Storm and adult conflict. Mia crouched to Grace's level. Do you want quiet table after lunch? Grace nodded. And nurse check before recess? Grace nodded again. Mia smiled. Good plan. Grace hugged me. Truth slow, she whispered. That was something we had started saying after the accident when court letters, news articles, and company lies moved faster than facts. Truth slow, I said. Then I drove to Sam's office in Pine Hollow. Sam Carter's office sat above a feed store because he said rent was cheaper and angry clients were less likely to yell when they had to walk past sacks of horse grain. He was 62, thin, gray-haired, and had the steady hands of a man who had spent half his career picking apart aviation accident reports one line at a time. He met me at the door. Metal. I took the small fireproof pouch from my jacket. He did not touch it right away. For a moment, we both looked at it. The metal was more than evidence. It was the last physical thing David Cross had chosen to give me while the ridge burned around us. Sam put on gloves. Come in. He had the recovery kit laid out on his desk. Magnifier, micro tools, static-free mat, card reader, old laptop not connected to the internet. You sure? He asked. No. He nodded as if that was the correct answer. The metal had a hairline seam along the wing design. I had discovered it 2 days after the fire. Hands bandaged, lungs raw, body shaking from exhaustion and sedatives. Back then, the micro card inside had been warped, unreadable by my cheap equipment. Sam had tried once, carefully, but we had not risked damaging it further without specialists we could not afford and trust at the same time. Sam worked slowly. The tiny compartment opened with a click so soft it felt like a confession. The card sat inside, darkened but intact. He lifted it out. I brought in a reader last year, he said, for another case. Better than what we had. You kept it. I told the other client it broke. You lie to a client. I creatively protected future justice. This time I did smile. The laptop recognized the card after 3 attempts. A folder appeared, Black Pine Backup DC. Sam froze. I leaned forward. Inside were 3 audio files, 2 data logs, and a text document. Sam did not open them. Before we touch anything, I make a forensic copy. Do it. The process took 27 minutes. I counted each one. While we waited, my phone buzzed. Evelyn Cross. I almost ignored it. Sam saw the screen. Answer. Put it on speaker. Tell her you are with counsel. I answered. Ms. Cross. Noah. I reviewed the surface report last night. I am with my attorney. A pause. Good. Then hear this clearly. I ordered a preservation hold on all Black Pine files this morning. Sam raised his eyebrows. Evelyn continued. Nolan objected. Of course he did, I said. He told me you were unstable, that you had harassed former Crosswind employees for years, and that you might have forged my father's metal. I have not contacted Crosswind in years. I know that now. Our legal archive had no record of harassment complaints, only internal warnings drafted by Nolan's office. Sam took notes. Evelyn's voice tightened. I also found a missing attachment reference in my father's last safety memo. The file name was Northridge Corridor. My throat went dry. Sam looked at me sharply. Evelyn said, "What does that mean?" I closed my eyes. It means your father knew the safe route before the official report claimed. I invented one. Silence. Then she said, there are gaps in the file. Yes. Did Nolan create them? Ask him under oath. You think I am protecting him? I think you have protected the story he gave you because the alternative hurts worse. She took that without answering. Then she said, I need to hear what my father said. No. Her breath caught. No. Not until we verify the files and establish legal chain. Not until Grace is protected. Not because you are impatient. He was my father. And he was my friend. That stopped her. Sam nodded once. Evelyn's voice lowered. I hated you for 5 years. I know. I thought you killed him. I know. And you still picked me up. I looked out Sam's window at the feed store sign swinging in the wind. My daughter was in the truck. I do not teach her to leave people in snow because adults lied. Evelyn said nothing for a long time. Then, quietly, "I will wait for your lawyer." The call ended. Sam looked at the laptop. Forensic copy complete. He opened the first audio file. Static filled the room, then breathing, heavy, broken, man in pain, David Cross's voice came through the speakers, cracked by smoke and interference. "If this records, archive under Black Pine backup." Nolan cut test window again. Noah objected. I agreed with Noah. Clear ski route North Ridge is safer. If I do not make it, Noah must be heard. I gripped the edge of the desk. 5 years vanished. The heat, the rotor scream, David's blood on my gloves, his hand closing around mine. Do not trust Nolan. The truth is in the wing. Sam stopped the audio. He did not ask if I was all right. He knew I was not. My phone buzzed again, this time from Tessa. School called. Grace had coughing after recess. Nurse says stable, but wants you. I was out the door before Sam could speak. Chapter 4. Grace sat in the nurse's office with a blanket over her shoulders and rage in her eyes. That was better than fear. Fear folded her inward. Rage meant she still had air. The school nurse, Mrs. Alvarez, met me at the door. Peak flow dipped after recess. She used the rescue inhaler. Oxygen is fine. No emergency, but she got upset. Grace looked away when I entered. I crouched in front of her. Hey, Bug. I am not Bug. That was not good. Okay, Grace. I told them I was fine. Who is them? She pointed toward the hallway with her chin. Kids asked if my dad was in trouble again. My stomach tightened. How did they hear that? Mrs. Alvarez looked uncomfortable. One parent apparently saw a local post about MS Cross and an unidentified driver. It did not name Grace, but small towns connect dots. Of course they did. Small towns were built out of dots and casseroles. Grace's hands tightened around her fox. Eli said his dad said you were fired from planes because you crashed a rich man. I inhaled slowly. The nurse watched me, ready to see whether the dangerous man from the rumors would appear. He did not. Only a father did. What did you say? I asked Grace. I said no. Good, then I coughed. That part was less good. I know, Mrs. Alvarez said. She handled it well, but I think the stress triggered the flare. Thank you for calling. I signed the release sheet and took Grace home for the day. In the truck, she stared at the metal. Can I ask something mean? You can ask anything. Did Mom help them hate you? The question landed hard. What makes you ask that? She used to say you should stop fighting ghosts, but you were not fighting. You were just sad. I kept the truck steady. Your mom was scared and tired back then. That is not an answer. No, it was not. I pulled into the overlook by the old river bridge, away from the main road. Snowclouds sat low over the mountains. I turned to face her. Your mom made choices that hurt us. Some because she was scared, some because she wanted life to be easier, some I still do not fully understand. Grace looked at her fox. Did she leave because I was sick? No, she said after the hospital that she could not breathe in our house. I remembered that fight, Paige standing in the kitchen, wearing a white coat, crying without tears. Every beep, every medicine schedule, every time you look at her chest instead of me. I cannot breathe in this house anymore. Grace had been half asleep on the couch, had thought she did not hear. She was talking about herself, I said, not your worth. But I made the beeps. Your body made alarms because it needed help. That is not something you did wrong. Grace wiped her nose with her sleeve. I let her. Did you stop flying because of me? I looked at the runway far below, half hidden by snow. I stopped flying because the company took my license work. The reports lied, and I needed to keep you safe. That sounds like yes. No, I said firmly. Listen to me. If I had been alone, maybe I would have fought louder sooner. Maybe I would have broken myself trying. You made me choose survival over pride. That is not the same as ruining my life. She stared at me. You did not cost me my life, I said. You gave me a reason to keep one. Her chin trembled. Truth slow. Truth slow. She leaned forward. I unbuckled and hugged her over the center console, awkward and tight. When we got home, Tessa was waiting on the porch with soup and the expression of someone ready to attack the whole town with a snow shovel. Names, she said. No, I asked for names. She is 8, so I will use smaller words when I scare them. Grace smiled a little. That was why Tessa stayed in our life. Inside, while Grace rested on the couch, I called Sam. He had already drafted preservation letters to Crosswind, Nolan, the board, their outside counsel, and their IT archive vendor. I also called Caleb Stone. Sam said, the name took me back. Caleb's still in aviation investigation, independent now. He never liked the Black Pine report. He said the math smelled rotten, which from Caleb is poetry. Can we trust him as much as we trust anyone who hates bad data more than money? Good. I checked on Grace. She was drawing at the coffee table, mountains, arrows, roads, a small plane with a dotted path around a red scribble of fire. Old habits, maps made her feel safe. Sam continued, Evelyn's legal team acknowledged the hold. Nolan's office sent a separate letter accusing you of possession of stolen property. I looked toward the truck outside. The metal, yes, expected. Do not surrender it without court order. It is evidence. Evelyn, she did not sign that letter. Nolan did. The line between them was opening, not enough, but enough to matter. That evening, Paige came to the house. She did not ask first. A silver Lexus pulled into the drive, and Grace's pencil stopped moving. Mom, she said. I looked out the window. Paige stepped out in a wool coat, hair perfect, makeup soft, face arranged into concern. I used to know every version of that face, the public one, the pleading one. The wounded one, the one that made other people think I must have been cruel to make such a pretty woman sad. I opened the door before she knocked. Grace is resting. Paige looked past me. I need to see my daughter. Not like this. Her eyes flashed. Like what? Unannounced, after messaging me with Nolan's words. After a respiratory flare. She lowered her voice. I am worried about her. Then you should have asked how she was before filing concern like a threat. Paige flinched. I heard you picked up Evelyn Cross in a storm. I heard you have David's medal. I heard Crosswind is reopening Black Pine. You cannot drag Grace through that. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. No one dragged Grace harder than the adults who lied. She looked away. That was the first crack. Then she recovered. You always make it sound noble. But you love this. Being wronged, being the tragic hero. It gives you a reason to keep everyone away. I almost laughed. Paige, I repair crop planes and pack inhalers. My tragedy is not that glamorous. You know what I mean. I know what Nolan means. Her face changed. I do not work for Nolan. Not officially. That is low. So was using the phrase volatile aviation trauma in a message about our daughter 12 minutes after Nolan used it in an internal statement. She went pale. Had guessed. Her face confirmed it. The door opened behind me. Grace stood there. Blanket around her shoulders. Mom! Paige softened instantly. Sweetheart. Grace did not move closer. Are you here because of my lungs or because of Dad's medal? Paige's eyes filled. Both. I am scared. Grace looked at me. She is scared a lot. Yes, I said. Paige wiped her cheek. I want more time with you. Grace, I want to make sure you are safe. Grace's voice was small, but clear. Do you know where my school inhaler is? Paige blinked. At school, what room? In the nurse's office. Grace looked at me. Not enough. Then she went back inside. Paige stared after her. I did not comfort her. You left when staying meant learning how to keep her breathing. I said, do not come back because using her is easy. Paige's face twisted. I loved her. I know. I love her. Then learn her. She left without another word. I watched disappear down the road. Inside, Grace had returned to her map. The red fire scribble now had a blue route around it. She had drawn a label above the route, Safeway Home, Chapter 5. Evelyn Cross began reading files like a woman trying to exhume her father with paper cuts. I did not know that because I was in the room. I knew because Sam began receiving legal acknowledgments stamped after midnight, because Crosswind archive staff suddenly requested clarification on the scope of the preservation hold, and because Nolan Pierce made the mistake of calling me directly. His number came through while I was changing the air filter in a medevac helicopter at Mason County Field. I let it ring. He called again. Tessa leaned from the dispatch doorway. If that is Paige, tell her I have opinions. It is Nolan. Her smile vanished. Put it on speaker. I answered. Bennett. Nolan's voice was smooth, older now, but just as polished as I remembered. Noah, I hope we could speak as adults before attorneys turn history into theater. Tessa mouthed a word I was not going to repeat near an aircraft. I said, all communication through counsel. That is unnecessary. Evelyn is emotional. You know what that medal means to her. If you are looking for compensation, there are quiet ways to handle old grievances. Quiet ways. 5 years ago, he had offered me quiet ways to resign, sign the release, accept the findings, protect your daughter from the press, take the small severance, disappear. I wiped grease from my hand. You are being recorded. A pause. Of course you would say that. You called a mechanic at work to discuss evidence in a preserved matter. You should hope I am recording. His tone chilled. You always did overestimate your intelligence. No, you underestimated David's. That silence was better. Then Nolan said, David is dead. Yes, but apparently he had better file management than you. He hung up. Tessa looked at me. You poked the bear. No, the bear called the hanger. Still, she was right. By the end of that day, Lauren Blake, a business reporter out of Seattle, left messages for me, Sam, Evelyn, Crosswind, and somehow Paige. Her first article did not name Grace. It did not publish the medal photo. It did not call me a hero or a threat. It asked one simple question: why did Crosswind's CEO reopen the Black Pine disaster file after a mountain road rescue? That was enough to start the wolves. Online aviation forums lit up. Old headlines resurfaced. Former rescue pilot blamed for fatal Black Pine system failure. Crosswind founder David Cross killed during wildfire navigation test. Noah Bennett dismissed after internal safety review. Dismissed, not framed, not robbed, dismissed. Language can make violence look tidy. Grace saw none of it because I kept her tablet locked down, but children do not need internet access to feel adult weather change. At dinner, she barely touched her pasta. Are people talking? She asked. Yes, about you. Yes, about me? Not by name. That is not no. No, I admitted, it is not. She pushed a noodle around her plate. Can I be normal tomorrow? Yes. Promise? I will do everything I can. That is not promise. No, it is honest. She sighed. Truth slow is annoying. Yes. After Grace went to bed, I opened the old metal file box I had kept under the looseboard in my closet. Inside were the things I had not let grief or fear destroy. My original Clear Sky notebooks, printed code commits with dates. A photograph of David Cross, Caleb Stone, and me standing beside the test aircraft 2 weeks before Black Pine, my burnt flight glove, the first legal letter accusing me of negligence, the divorce papers, Paige's text from the night she left. I cannot do smoke, alarms, lawsuits, and a sick child forever. I am sorry. She had sent it. From Nolan's guest house, I had known because she forgot location sharing was still on. At midnight, Evelyn called through Sam's conference line. This time I accepted because Sam was present. Evelyn sounded exhausted. I found my father's memo. Sam asked, which memo? Safety governance. 3 weeks before Black Pine, he wrote that Noah's route logic was the only reason Clear Sky had field value. He wanted to create a technical founder grant. I closed my eyes. David had told me he would put it in writing. I had never seen it. Evelyn continued, the attachment is missing from our archive, but the memo references it. Sam said, we will request the archive logs. I also found Nolan's note to the board after the accident. It says Noah insisted on an unapproved route. He lied, I said. I know that now. The words should have felt like relief. They did not. They felt like a door opening into a room full of smoke. Evelyn said, I need to hear the recording. Sam answered before I could. Not yet. We have to authenticate. I can bring Crosswind resources. No, I said. She went quiet. I continued, your resources include Nolan. Until your board separates him from the archive, Crosswind resources are contaminated. My board will not suspend a CFO based on your suspicion. Then your board can wait for subpoena. Her voice sharpened. You still think I am your enemy. I think you are standing in a house built with his nails and asking why I do not trust the floor. Sam gave me a look that said effective but unnecessarily poetic. Evelyn said, what do you want? Independent preservation, outside forensic audit, Nolan removed from Black Pine access, no public reference to Grace, no use of my daughter in corporate statements, no quiet settlement talks behind Sam. You assume I would use your daughter. I assume companies use whatever lowers risk. I am not Nolan. Prove it. She did not answer quickly. Then she said, I will call a board special session after the call. Sam leaned back. She is moving toward truth or damage control? Both. People rarely start clean. I rubbed my face. I do not like needing her. You do not need her. You need records she controls. That is worse. Sam nodded. The next morning, Grace found one of my old maps on the kitchen table. It was a Black Pine topographical printout marked with pencil routes and burn zones. I thought I had put it away. She traced a ridge line with her finger. I know this. I froze. What? She ran to her room and came back with a folder full of old drawings. She drew it. She pulled out a child's drawing of mountains, fire, arrows, and a blue line labeled Dad's Safe Way. I remembered it then. After Black Pine, when nightmares kept her awake, I used to draw routes with her, safe routes, wind routes, roads home. She was 3. I thought it was just comfort, but the blue line, the North Ridge, the line matched the route David had called safe. Not perfectly, not scientifically, but enough to show what I had believed before the report changed history. Grace looked at my face. Did I do something wrong? No. Is it bad? No. Then why do you look like that? I knelt in front of her. Because you kept a piece of truth. Her eyes widened. Do I have to talk to court? No. To the CEO lady? No. To the news? Absolutely not. Then what do I do? I took the drawing gently. You let adults carry it now. She nodded slowly. Truth slow. Truth slow. Chapter 6, Nolan's first public lie came wrapped as safety. Crosswind issued a statement through the CFO's office, not Evelyn's. Recent claims by a former employee dismissed after the Black Pine disaster appear to be part of an attempt to reopen settled matters during a sensitive corporate period. Crosswind remains committed to safety, transparency, and the legacy of David Cross. Former employee, dismissed, settled matters, legacy for phrases, for knives. The statement did not name me, but it did not need to. Lauren Blake called Sam within 10 minutes. 2 aviation blogs had already matched my name. A local station in Montana sent a van to Pine Hollow by noon. Sam filed a cease and desist over defamatory implications and preservation interference. He also released a narrow factual statement. Mr. Noah Bennett assisted Ms. Evelyn Cross during a winter roadside emergency. Any suggestion of threat, coercion, or harassment is false. The encounter was recorded. Mr. Bennett will not discuss matters involving his minor child. No medal, no Grace, no recording release, not yet. Nolan responded through a media leak. A short clip appeared online that evening. It showed Evelyn in my truck saying, "That is my father's medal." Then me saying, "Do not touch it." The clip cut before Grace coughed, cut before I pulled over, cut before I helped my daughter breathe, cut before I took Evelyn to the lodge. The caption read, "Disgraced pilot confronted by CEO over founder's missing medal." Grace did not see it. Paige did. She sent 5 messages in 6 minutes. This is exactly what I meant. Grace cannot be around this. I am contacting my attorney. You are putting your obsession over her health. Do not ignore me. I ignored her long enough to send everything to Sam. Then I checked Grace's oxygen, packed her school bag for the next day, and made grilled cheese because children still need dinner while adults build disasters around them. At 8:40, Evelyn called Sam. Sam patched me in. Her first words were, "I did not authorize that clip." I said, "Nolan did." "I know. Do you?" I asked communications. They said the clip came from an external crisis vendor retained by Nolan's office. Then stop him. I am trying. Try faster. She took that. I watched the complete dashcam file Sam sent under confidentiality. I looked at Sam. He nodded. He had sent it after making Grace's face and audio private under legal agreement. Evelyn's voice changed. "You helped her before you answered me." "My daughter." "Yes. She comes first." "She was terrified." "Yes. I caused that." "Yes." She breathed in. "I want to say I am sorry." "Say it to your lawyer." "That is cold." "No, It is a boundary. Silence. Then Evelyn said, I told the board I want Nolan removed from Black Pine Access pending review, and Victor Lane wants more evidence. Half the board thinks I am emotional because it involves my father. Are you? Yes. That does not make Nolan honest. Good answer. Sam said, Ms. Cross, we have recovered audio from the metal. We will provide a transcript excerpt under protective terms once authentication begins. She whispered, his voice. Yes. Sam said. She went quiet. I almost felt sorry for her, then I remembered Grace in the truck asking if everyone would hate me again. Pity could wait. The next day, Officer Ryan Holt came by the hangar. He was the local police officer who had responded when I called in Evelyn's disabled SUV. He had broad shoulders, tired eyes, and a teenage daughter who once sold Grace school fundraiser cookies. I heard I am becoming part of a rich people problem, he said. You wrote the road assist report. I did. Also pulled body cam from when I checked the SUV. Confirms the vehicle was disabled and Cross was not distressed when I spoke with her at the lodge later. Said you transported her safely. Can Sam get that? Already sent. Tessa handed him coffee. Holt, if a news van blocks the school road, can you ticket them until they cry? I can ticket them if they violate parking ordinances. Good enough. By Friday, Lauren Blake published a more careful piece. Full recording may contradict crosswind leak in Black Pine metal dispute. She wrote that the released clip appeared incomplete and that law enforcement records confirmed I had assisted Evelyn during a storm. She did not name Grace. She did not describe the medical event. She did mention that a child was present and that privacy concerns limited release of the full file. Nolan smear lost force, not all force. Enough. That evening, Paige filed for temporary expanded custody. Her petition said I had created a volatile public environment, exposed Grace to aviation trauma, and allowed unresolved obsession with Black Pine to endanger her emotional and respiratory health. There were the phrases volatile public environment, aviation trauma, respiratory health. Nolan's fingerprints in family court ink. Grace sat at the kitchen table coloring while I read the petition in the hallway. She looked up. Dad. I folded the papers. Adult paperwork. Mom paperwork. Yes. Does she want me? I hated that question. Not custody, not time. Want? Yes. I said. She wants more time because she misses me or because she is scared. Maybe both. Do I have to choose? No. Do I have to tell a judge about my lungs? No. Dr. Helen and your records can speak. Grace put down her crayon. Records know a lot. Yes. Do records know Mom left when I coughed at night? I sat across from her. Some do. Her eyes filled. I love Mom. I know. I do not want her to be bad. She is not only one thing. Is she safe? I did not answer too quickly. She is not ready to be responsible for your breathing overnight. Grace nodded, crying now. That sounds nicer than no. It is the true version of no. She wiped her face. Truth slow. I reached across the table. She gave me her hand. Truth slow. I said, Chapter 7. The first time I heard David Cross's full recording, Evelyn sat across from me in Sam's office with both hands clenched around a paper cup of coffee she never drank. It was a controlled meeting, lawyers present, Caleb Stone present, audio technician present, chain of custody. Documents signed, no phones, no Nolan, no board members, no press. Evelyn looked smaller without the CEO armor, still expensive, still controlled, but grief had a way of removing height. She looked at the medal in the evidence tray and whispered, he wore it every time he flew test routes. I said nothing. Sam began, we have completed preliminary recovery. Audio integrity is damaged, but usable. We have not yet completed full authentication, but metadata and storage characteristics are consistent with the Black Pine period. Evelyn nodded. Caleb Stone sat beside the technician, glasses low on his nose, surrounded by maps and data sheets. He had been an accident investigator for 20 years and looked like a man who disliked lies because they made math untidy. Sam pressed play. Static wind, a crash of something metallic, then David Cross. This is David Cross, Black Pine Test Corridor. Recording local because telemetry is unstable. If this survives, archive backup. Nolan cut test window again. Budget pressure. Noah objected. I agreed with Noah. Evelyn's hand went to her mouth. The recording crackled. North Ridge Corridor safer. Clear Sky recommends it if wind shifts east. Noah's route logic saved ground team simulations twice. Do not let finance bury safety. A long pause, coughing, a distant alarm, then David again, weaker. If I do not make it, Noah must be heard. Evelyn, if you ever hear this, trust the man who chooses rescue over reputation. Evelyn made a sound that was not quite a sob. I looked at the floor. There are moments when being right gives you nothing. The recording continued with fragmented data notes, Nolan's name, references to a missing route file, and David saying, "The truth is in the wing." Then it ended. No one moved for a while. Evelyn wiped her face once and sat up straight. I hated you. Yes, I let Nolan teach me how to hate you. I did not answer. She looked at me. Why did you never come to me? I tried to reach Crosswind Legal twice. Both letters were answered by Nolan's office. Then Paige left. Grace was in and out of hospitals. I had no money for a war I could not prove. You had the medal. I had a burned object with a corrupted card and a dead man's last words. Nolan had a company, lawyers, reports, and your grief. Evelyn looked down. That is true. Caleb cleared his throat. We should discuss the flight data. Evelyn nodded, grateful for something technical to hold. Caleb spread maps across the table. Black Pine Ridge, Wind Corridors, Fire Line, Rescue Route 19, North Ridge Safe Corridor, Official Accident Route. He placed Grace's old drawing beside the technical map with her name covered except for initials. Evelyn looked at it. What is that? My daughter's drawing, I said, from after the fire. She was 3. I used to draw safe routes for her when nightmares were bad. Caleb pointed to the blue line. This is not formal evidence by itself, but it matches Mr. Bennett's original claimed route in David's audio reference. It also contradicts the official report narrative that Mr. Bennett invented a dangerous south approach after the fact. Evelyn touched the edge of the paper without moving it. Grace kept this. Yes. Does she know? She knows it may help. She does not know details. Evelyn looked at me. I will not let the company use her. No, I mean it. Then write it into the board protocol. I will. Sam continued through the technical evidence. Clearsky code commits showed my route logic. Weeks before Black Pine, test simulations showed the North Ridge corridor was safer under east wind shift. The official report used a route map generated 6 hours after the crash, not the live route file. Caleb's conclusion was careful but powerful. The Black Pine report contains material inconsistencies. The claim that Mr. Bennett deviated from approved route logic is not supported by the original technical evidence now available. Evelyn closed her eyes. When she opened them, the CEO was back, but different, not softer, cleaner. I need to call a special board hearing. Sam said, we agree. I need to suspend Nolan from all Black Pine records. We agree more. She looked at me, and I need to apologize to Grace. No. She recoiled slightly. No, Grace is not your absolution. I frightened her. Yes. I want to make that right. Then protect her without asking her to watch you feel sorry. Evelyn absorbed that slowly. You are a hard man. I am a tired father. She looked at the medal. Maybe both. Maybe on my way home, I stopped at the overlook again. Snow had melted along the road, exposing black earth and dead grass. Black Pine Ridge sat in the distance, quiet under winter light. For 5 years, I had believed the truth was like that ridge, still there even when smoke, snow, and lies hit it. But truth is not enough by itself. Someone has to survive long enough to carry it. Grace was waiting at home with Tessa, doing math homework and pretending not to watch the driveway. When I walked in, she ran to me, then stopped before crashing into my side. Bad day or medium day? Big day? Big bad? Big hard? Did the lady cry? Yes. Grace thought about that. Did you make her? No. Her dad did. Oh. I sat beside her. Your map helped. Her eyes widened. Do I have to do anything? No. Adults carry it. Adults carry it. She nodded. Can I have macaroni? Yes. Then big day is over for her. I let it be. Chapter 8. Paige arrived at the custody hearing wearing the same pearl earrings she had worn to our divorce mediation. I remembered them because she had touched them every time she lied. The hearing was in county family court, not the grand battlefield Nolan probably imagined. Beige walls, plastic chairs, a judge who had already heard too many parents use children as mirrors for adult fear. Sam sat beside me, case folder arranged with cruel precision. Paige sat across the aisle with her attorney. Nolan was not there. He was too smart to appear in family court before his name was necessary, but his language sat beside Paige like a second lawyer. Her petition said Grace was endangered by my renewed involvement in aviation investigations. It said I was unstable, obsessed with past grievances, and exposing Grace to media attention. It requested temporary primary physical custody for Paige pending a psychological review of my household. My household, the small house beside the airfield where Grace's inhalers were labeled, where the nebulizer tubes were replaced on schedule, where the school nurse could reach me in one ring, where air filters were changed before smoke season, where nightmares were met with maps and breathing practice. Paige's attorney began with concern. Concern is a flexible weapon. She described Grace's asthma, fire trauma, school flare, public rumors, and the recent media around Black Pine. She argued Paige could provide emotional distance from aviation conflict. Then Sam stood. Your Honor, this petition uses the child's medical needs as a reason to remove her from the parent who manages those needs. The judge, Daniel Mercer, looked at the file. Proceed. Sam did. He submitted Dr. Helen Morris's letter. Grace's pediatric pulmonologist wrote that I attended all scheduled visits, maintained updated asthma action plans, coordinated school medication, managed flare logs, and understood environmental triggers. Paige had attended 2 visits in 4 years, both after reminders. He submitted pharmacy records. My name on every rescue inhaler pickup, every controller medication refill, every nebulizer solution refill. He submitted school records, nurse communication logs, air quality restrictions, field trip plans, my signatures. He submitted Paige's canceled visits, sick this weekend. Maybe better if she stays with you. Smoke makes me anxious. Can we switch? I do not want to mess up the inhaler schedule. That last one hurt Paige visibly. Her attorney objected that Paige had been honest about her limitations. Sam nodded. Exactly. And those limitations do not support temporary primary custody. Dr. Helen appeared by video. She answered questions calmly. Who is Grace's primary medical caregiver, Mr. Bennett? Would a sudden custody shift be medically advisable? No. Why? Grace's asthma is stress-responsive. She also has a history of fire-related anxiety. Stability depends not only on a quiet home, but on a caregiver who can recognize symptoms early and respond competently. Paige's attorney asked, Can Ms. Bennett learn? Of course. Do you believe she loves her daughter? Yes. Then should she not have more opportunity? Dr. Helen did not soften. Love is important. For asthma, love must know where the rescue inhaler is. The judge wrote that down. Then came Mia Foster's school report. Grace had told Mia she loved her mother but worried her mother thought she was too hard to take care of. Mia noted that Grace became anxious when adults argued about her health and that she relaxed when given clear routines with me. Paige cried. The pearls moved under her fingers. Sam submitted the messages page to Noah 5 years ago. I cannot do smoke, alarms, lawsuits, and a sick child forever. I am sorry. Paige looked like she might stand. Her attorney whispered to her. Sam did not look at her. He then submitted the recent messages with Nolan's language comparing them to a crosswind internal draft obtained through Evelyn's preservation review. Same phrases, same order. Volatile environment, aviation trauma, respiratory instability. The judge looked up. Ms. Bennett, are you coordinating with Nolan Pierce regarding this custody petition? Paige shook her head too quickly. No, Your Honor. I spoke with him as a friend. Sam handed up an email, Paige Bennett to Nolan Pierce, subject Grace stability wording. Can you send the safer phrasing you mentioned? My attorney needs language showing Noah's Black Pine obsession is creating respiratory risk. Nolan's reply, use child stability, not company dispute. Noah folds when Grace is the pressure point. The courtroom did not explode. It became worse than that. It became clear. Paige covered her mouth. I looked at the judge, not at her. Judge Mercer's voice was cold. Pressure point. Paige whispered, I did not mean it like that. Sam said, Mr. Bennett asks that the court maintain the existing custody schedule, deny emergency modification, restrict Mr. Pierce from contact with the child, and require Ms. Bennett to complete current asthma care training before any expansion of overnight time. The judge recessed. In the hallway, Paige came toward me. Sam shifted, but I raised a hand. She stopped a few feet away. I did not know Nolan wrote that part. I said nothing. I mean, I knew he said pressure, but I thought he meant legal pressure, not Grace like that. You forwarded it. I was scared. So was Grace when you left. Her face crumpled. That is not fair. It is not complete, but it is fair. She gripped her handbag. I was drowning. I know. You looked at her monitors and her breathing. And her medicine. You had purpose. I had panic. You had a daughter. Paige cried harder, but quietly. For once, she did not make a scene. I want to learn. Then learn. I want her to trust me. Then become trustworthy. Do you hate me? No. That hurt her more than yes would have. I do not trust you, I said. And Grace cannot breathe on your intentions. The judge returned temporary custody change denied. Existing custody remained. Paige was ordered to complete an updated pediatric asthma management course, demonstrate knowledge of Grace's action plan, and participate in reunification counseling before requesting expanded overnights. Nolan Pierce was prohibited from contact with Grace, school pickups, medical discussions, or custody exchanges. Both parents were ordered not to discuss Black Pine litigation with Grace. Judge Mercer added, "This child is not a litigation tool." Sam wrote it down. I did, too. When I picked Grace up from school, she ran across the sidewalk. With me, she asked. With me, Mom? She has to learn your breathing plan. Before anything changes. Grace nodded. Nolan, not near you. She breathed out. Good. Then she asked, Is Mom bad? No. Is she safe? Not yet. Cannot yet become yes. I looked down at her small face. Yes, if she does the work. Grace took my hand. Truth slow. Truth slow. That night, Paige sent one message. I enrolled in the asthma care course. I am sorry I let Nolan use Grace. I answered with one line, that is a first step. Keep going. Not forgiveness, not punishment, a door with a lock. Called Responsibility, Chapter 9. Evelyn called the board hearing a special governance session. Nolan called it an emotional overreaction. Victor Lane, the board chair, called it unfortunate timing. Caleb Stone called it, finally. I called it Thursday. I wore my old Navy suit because Grace said it made me look less like I was fixing a tractor. She brushed brush ash dust from the sleeve, then looked at the mirror where the medal still hung. Do you have to take it? Yes. Will it come back? Yes. She nodded. When it comes back, can it live in a box? I looked at her. Maybe. I think mirrors should show roads, not sad things. Children sometimes say things adults need years of therapy to reach. I will think about that. She hugged me carefully, avoiding the side where old burned scar tissue still pulled on cold mornings. Do not yell, she said, at the board. Yes, I will not. Do not let them yell, either. I will try. If they do, imagine them as chickens. Strong. Legal strategy. She nodded seriously at Crosswind headquarters in Seattle. The lobby still smelled the same, polished stone, jet fuel from the hangar bay, coffee from the executive cafe, money in motion. The last time I had walked through those doors, security had escorted me out after a closed investigation branded me reckless. Reporters waited on the curb. Paige had not come. Grace was in the hospital with smoke-triggered pneumonia. I had carried a cardboard box of desk items and a legal envelope that told me my life had been rewritten by men who had cleaner shoes. This time, Evelyn met me at the private entrance. Noah, she said. I nodded. MS Cross. Her face flickered at the formality, but she accepted it. Sam stood beside me. Caleb carried the data case. A security officer documented chain of custody for the medal and storage card. Evelyn looked at the medal in the evidence pouch. I dreamed about that thing last night. So did Grace. Her face tightened. I am sorry then. Keep her out of the room. She is not mentioned in any board materials by name. Her drawing is coded as Exhibit R19 minor protected and Caleb will present its technical relevance without identifying her. Good. We entered the boardroom. Nolan sat on the right side of the long table. Silver hair, tailored suit, calm smile. He looked almost exactly as he had 5 years ago, except softer around the jaw. He smiled at me. "Noah, you look well." I sat across from him. "You look employed, Sam." Coughed into his hand. Evelyn took the head of the table. "This session concerns Black Pine disaster records, Clearsky technology ownership, potential misconduct in prior internal investigation, and recent public communications involving Mr. Bennett. It will be recorded. Counsel is present. Mr. Pierce, your access to Black Pine materials remains suspended pending this session." Nolan leaned back. "I object to the premise." "Noted," Evelyn said. Caleb began with maps. He did not tell a story. He built one out of facts. Weather shift at 1432, fire line expansion, South Corridor instability, North Ridge Corridor viable, Clearsky simulation logs prior to Black Pine. My code commits, David's safety memo, official report route map generated after the crash. Not during live operations, Nolan interrupted twice. Victor Lane asked him to stop the third time. Then Sam introduced the metal. The room changed when David Cross's voice came through the speakers. People who had worked for him lowered their eyes. Evelyn kept hers open. The recording played. Nolan cut test window again. Noah objected. I agreed with Noah. North Ridge Corridor safer. Noah must be heard. Trust the man who chooses rescue over reputation. When the recording ended, no one spoke. Nolan recovered first. This is tragic, but not conclusive. A dying man under stress may misunderstand operational reality. Caleb slid a document forward. Then let us discuss operational reality. He presented the budget emails. Nolan Pierce to vendor liaison. Reduce. Extended fire simulation. We need a demonstration window, not a science project. Nolan Pierce to David Cross. Noah is too cautious. If we let pilots dictate development, we miss federal bid timing. Nolan Pierce to Paige Bennett. Any notes Noah keeps at home on route logic may be useful. We need to understand what he thinks he owns. My eyes went to Nolan. Paige's name on that screen hurt more than I expected. Evelyn stared at the email. Paige sent you his notes. Nolan adjusted his cuff. She was a project coordinator. We gathered relevant materials during crisis review. Sam placed another exhibit. Pages forward. Nolan, these are Noah's handwritten Clearsky route notes from the garage. Please do not make it look like I gave them to you. I just want this over. The room became very still in that practical corporate way, where everyone suddenly understands liability is sitting at the table. Nolan said, context matters. I spoke then. My daughter was in the hospital when that email was sent. Nolan looked at me. I continued. Paige was supposed to bring her favorite blanket. She did not come. She sent you my notes instead. Evelyn closed her eyes briefly. Nolan said, this is emotional manipulation. No, Sam said, it is timeline. Caleb showed the final comparison. Official report. Noah Bennett deviated south from approved route. Original Clearsky logs. North Ridge Corridor active. David audio. North Ridge safer. Grace's protected drawing. North Ridge route taught by Noah immediately after disaster, before official report release. Caleb's conclusion was quiet. Based on the recovered evidence, the internal Black Pine report materially misrepresented route logic, authorship, and decision timing. Mr. Bennett's actions appear consistent with the safer route recommendation. Victor Lane looked shaken. Evelyn turned to Nolan. Did you alter the route records? No. Did you direct anyone to replace live route data with the post-incident reconstruction? No. Did you use Paige Bennett to obtain Noah's private technical notes? I obtained company-related materials during an investigation. Did you tell me for 5 years that Noah Bennett killed my father through reckless route deviation? Nolan's face hardened. I told you what the report concluded. You shaped the report. I protected this company. Evelyn stood. No, you protected yourself with my father's death. Nolan stood, too. You are making a mistake. Without me, this company would have collapsed after Black Pine because you made the truth too dangerous. To survive, Victor Lane spoke. Mr. Pierce, pending full independent investigation, you are suspended from all duties. Nolan looked around the table. Several directors avoided his eyes. That was when powerful men learned power was partly rented. He buttoned his jacket. You will regret believing him. I looked at him. I regretted your lies for 5 years. I can survive your truth. Nolan left the room. The door closed softly. Evelyn sat down. She did not cry. She looked at the medal on the table, then at me. My father trusted you. Yes. And I trusted the man who buried you. Yes. I cannot fix that. No. But I can correct the record. Start there. She nodded. Crosswinds board voted that day to open an independent external investigation, suspend Nolan, preserve all Black Pine files under third-party control, and begin review of Clear Ski intellectual property ownership. They also voted to issue a preliminary statement. Sam and I approved every word. No mention of Grace. No hero language. No corporate redemption poetry, just facts. The Black Pine internal report is under review due to newly recovered evidence. Crosswind has suspended CFO Nolan Pierce pending investigation. Noah Bennett's role and contributions will be independently reassessed. When I got home, Grace met me at the door. Chickens? A few. Did you yell? No. Did they? Mostly no. Did the medal help? Yes. She looked at the mirror through the window. Can it rest now? Soon. She nodded. Good. Sad things get tired, too. Chapter 10. Nolan did not collapse. He fought. That was expected. People who build their lives on control rarely surrender because a board votes first. He tried to move money through 2 consulting entities. Sam caught it through emergency discovery tied to the civil claims. Then he tried to blame Paige. He released selected emails to a friendly business outlet, implying Paige had stolen my notes independently and manipulated Crosswind's investigation to protect herself during our divorce. Paige called me at 6:12 in the morning, crying so hard I could barely understand her. He is saying I did it. He is saying I made the report. I stood in my kitchen with coffee going cold. What did you expect him to do? I thought he cared about me. No. You hoped he would protect you because you helped him hurt me. That stopped the crying for 3 seconds. Then she whispered, I was awful. Yes. I was scared. Yes. I was tired. Yes. I did not know David's recording existed. I did not know Nolan changed route data. I believe that. You do. I think you sold what you thought was paper. You did not know it was a knife. She sobbed once. That does not make it okay. No. What happens now? You tell your lawyer the truth. You do not contact Grace about this. You do not post. You do not defend yourself publicly using our daughter. You complete the asthma course. She laughed bitterly through tears. You sound like a judge. I sound like a father who learned the hard way that feelings are not safety plans. Paige was quiet. I loved you once, she said. I know. Did you love me? Yes. Is there any way back? No. The word was not loud. It did not need to be. She cried again, but differently, not to persuade me because the door had closed. I will tell the truth, she said. Good. I will not ask Grace to make me feel better after the call. Grace came into the kitchen in pajamas. Was that Mom? Yes. Bad. Hard. Is she in trouble? Yes. Because of you? No. Because of choices. Grace sat at the table. Do choices get old and still count? Yes. That is unfair. Sometimes it feels that way. She thought about it. If good choices get old, do they count, too? I smiled. Yes. Like breakfast. Breakfast counts daily. Then pancakes are justice. Strong argument. Nolan's legal situation worsened quickly after Paige cooperated. Her full email chain showed that Nolan asked for my notes before the official report was finalized. He promised Paige a role in a new commercial development unit and help with transition resources after her separation from me. He also wrote that keeping me unstable would reduce my ability to challenge the findings. Keeping me unstable. That was not just about me. That was about bills, hospital nights, legal threats, divorce, a father trying to keep a child breathing while the ground kept moving. Nolan understood pressure points. He had chosen all of them. Crosswind fired him for cause. 3 weeks after the board hearing, the district attorney opened a criminal inquiry into evidence tampering and fraud tied to aviation safety records. Civil suits began forming from shareholders and insurance carriers. Federal aviation regulators requested documents. His house of polished language became a house with inspectors. Paige lost clients after her role became public through filings. She shut down her public social media for a while. The mother brand, the lifestyle posts, the soft focus. Captions about resilience, all of it could not survive the emails. She did not ask me to save her. That was new. She completed the asthma course. That was newer. At Grace's next pulmonology appointment, Paige asked to attend. I asked Grace. Grace said, she can come, but she cannot say I am delicate. I relayed that Paige arrived with no camera, no boyfriend, no dramatic apology. She brought a notebook. Dr. Helen asked her, what are Grace's first signs of a flare? Paige glanced at Grace, then answered, quiet coughing, rubbing her chest, not wanting to finish food, and saying she is tired when she is actually tight. Grace looked surprised. Dr. Helen asked, where is the school rescue inhaler? Nurse's locked cabinet, blue bin, with a backup spacer. Classroom teacher has the action plan copy. Grace gave me a look. 1 point. After the appointment, Paige crouched in front of Grace. I am learning late, she said. Grace held her fox. Late is not no. Paige cried, but quietly, thank you. But late is not all better. I know. Grace nodded. Okay. That was the start. Not forgiveness. Not family restored. A start. Meanwhile, Crosswind asked me to return. Evelyn made the offer herself, but not in a boardroom. She came to Mason County Field on a clear cold morning and found me under the cowling of a Beechcraft with Grace on my sleeve. She waited until I slid out. You could have called, I said. I did. Tessa said you were ignoring executives today. Tessa shouted from the dispatch office. Accurate. Evelyn smiled faintly. She had changed in the weeks since Nolan's suspension. Less polish, more purpose. The expensive coat was still expensive, but she wore boots now, real ones with mud on them. I have an offer. She said, no, you have not heard it. I know the shape. She nodded. Technical partner on Clear Sky Restoration, Safety Committee Authority, equity compensation tied to original contribution review, independent reporting line to the board, no relocation requirement, no travel without your approval. I wiped my hands. You built that around my objections. Yes. Why? Because if I ask you to choose between Crosswind and Grace, I am no better than the company that buried you. Good answer. Still not enough. Grace needs stability. I know. Media will circle. We will not use her. Paige's visitation is still fragile. We will schedule around your parenting time. I will not be your symbol. I am not asking you to. What are you asking? She looked toward the mountains. To finish what you and my father started, but only if it can be done without costing your daughter her home. There it was. Not redemption, not romance, work, purpose with boundaries. I will think about it. I said. Evelyn nodded. Fair. As she walked back to her rental car, Grace stepped out of Tessa's office. She had been doing homework there after school. Was that the CEO lady? Yes. Does she still make your face tired? Less. Does she know inhalers are not clutter? Yes. Good. Grace looked at me. Do you want to help the airplanes? Yes. Do you want to leave me? No. Can both be true? I crouched in front of her. Yes. If we build the route right. She considered that. Like Northridge? Like Northridge. Then draw it first. So we did that night on the kitchen table, Grace and I drew a weekly route. School, work, doctor, dinner, rest, flight tests, no travel during smoke season without backup care, no missed bedtime calls, no media near school, no company use of Grace's story, no sudden changes without talking. Grace titled it Dad. Safe work map. I sent a copy to Evelyn. She replied 10 minutes later. Approved by better governance than my board. Grace read it and smiled. 2 points. Chapter 11. I returned to Crosswind on a Monday morning with my daughter's map folded inside my jacket. Not in my briefcase. Not in the legal folder. Inside my jacket. Close enough to remember what the terms meant. The company lobby had changed since the board hearing. Nolan's portrait had been removed from the executive wall. David Cross's photograph remained, but someone had placed a small brass plaque beneath it. Safety is not a department. It is a promise. That sounded like David. It also sounded like Evelyn trying to learn his language. Evelyn met me with Victor Lane. 2 board members. Sam, Caleb, and Crosswind's new compliance officer. No photographers. No applause. No employees gathered to watch the disgraced pilot return. I had asked for that. Grace had insisted. No parade, she had said. Parades make things weird. So it was. Quiet. Quiet suited me. We signed documents for an interim technical review role. Not full-time. Not permanent yet. Clearsky restoration under independent oversight. My original work preserved and credited pending final ownership settlement. Safety committee access. No public use of my child. Sam reviewed every line. You are less fun than most lawyers, Victor said. Sam did not look up. That is because I read before smiling. Caleb became independent technical investigator for the restored Clearsky program. He took visible pleasure in making engineers explain every assumption. Evelyn gave me a temporary access badge. It said Noah Bennett, technical safety partner. No former employee. No dismissed pilot. No reckless operator. A name and a function. I stared at it longer than I meant to. Evelyn noticed. I wanted it to say founder, she said. Not yet. I know. The first Clearsky review was brutal. Code gaps. Archived simulations. Budget notes. Vendor modifications. Everything Nolan had touched smelled of shortcuts. Not always illegal, sometimes just cheap, sometimes rushed, sometimes hidden under terms like optimization and bid readiness. I had once told David that rescue technology fails first in spreadsheets. He had laughed, then he had died proving it. During a break, Evelyn found me in the old test bay. The aircraft frame from Black Pine's sister unit sat under covers at the far end. Not the crash aircraft. That one was gone, but close enough. I used to avoid this room, she said. So did I. You came back. I had evidence. Is that the only reason? No. She waited. I ran my hand along a workbench scarred by years of tools. Grace asked if both could be true, helping airplanes and staying her father. She is wise. She is 8. Both can be true. I almost smiled. Evelyn looked at the covered aircraft frame. When I was little, my father used to say every aircraft had a moral personality. That sounds like him. He said some aircraft forgive pilots, some punish laziness, some tell the truth early if you know how to listen. He said that about people, too. She looked at me. I wish I had listened earlier. You were grieving. I was CEO. You were both. She nodded. I am sorry I called you the man who caused Black Pine in front of Grace. That apology was different, no audience, no urgency, no request. I leaned against the bench. She still remembers it. I know. She remembers who makes her lungs feel unsafe. Evelyn's face tightened. I know. I am not saying that to hurt you. Yes, you are. I considered that. Maybe a little. She accepted it. Fair. Then she said, what can I do that does not ask her to absolve me? Keep Nolan's people away from her. Keep her name out of company language. If you see Paige struggle, do not use it. If Crosswind needs me somewhere, ask whether the route works for my child before asking whether it works for the board. Done. We will see over the next months. We rebuilt Clearsky's piece by piece. The system was not magic. No good rescue technology is. It was a decision tool. It combined wind shifts, topography, fire lines, aircraft position, ground team locations, fuel limits, and human risk factors. Its job was not to replace pilots or rescuers. Its job was to warn them before pride or panic killed them. The restored version had one principle written into the development charter. If commercial pressure conflicts with safety validation controls. I wrote it, Evelyn signed it, Victor complained about the wording. Caleb told him to frame it. We ran simulations first, then table exercises, then unmanned test flights, then controlled manned flights with chase aircraft. I did not fly the first test. People expected me to want it. I did. That was why I did not. Wanting is not the same as readiness. Grace watched a simulation day from the observation room with Tessa and Paige. Paige was there because Grace invited her for the afternoon. Evelyn kept her distance, greeting Grace politely and then returning to work. Grace noticed she did not hover. She said, "Good. Good." Paige watched the screen as Clearskies traced a safe route around a virtual burn zone. "That is what he built?" she asked quietly. Grace answered before I could. "That is what you leaked." The room tightened. Paige went pale. Tessa inhaled sharply. I looked at Grace. Her face was calm, not cruel. Paige swallowed. "Yes," she said, "it is." Grace nodded. "Okay. That was all?" Sometimes children forgive in inches by naming the truth and seeing whether adults run. Paige did not run. One point after the simulation, Evelyn approached Grace slowly. "Your dad's system performed well." Grace looked at her. "Does it help people breathe?" Evelyn blinked. "It can help rescuers reach people before smoke traps them." Grace nodded. "Then it is not just a sad thing." Evelyn looked at me, then back at Grace. "No, it is not." Grace thought about that. "You get 1 point." Evelyn smiled carefully. "I will try to earn it." "Do not try too loudly." "Understood." By late spring, Crosswind's independent report cleared my name publicly. The Black Pine internal report was withdrawn. My route decisions were recognized as consistent with safe corridor logic. My clear ski contributions were acknowledged. Crosswinds issued a formal apology. I stood beside Evelyn at the press conference, but did not speak about Grace. I spoke about David, the lost crews, the ground team saved, and the danger of letting finance define safety. Lauren Blake asked, "Mr. Bennett, what kept you from giving up?" I thought of Grace's inhaler on the nightstand, her maps, her small hand in mine outside hospitals, her asking if she had cost me my life. "My daughter," I said, "but not in the way people think. She did not keep me from fighting. She kept me alive long enough to fight correctly." That quote traveled. Grace saw it because I showed her first. "Correctly is a boring word," she said. "Lawyers like it." Still good. Chapter 12. Nolan's indictment came down on a Tuesday. Fraud, evidence tampering, obstruction tied to safety records, civil claims followed like weather after pressure change. He pleaded not guilty, of course. Men like Nolan rarely believe guilt applies to them. They believe in risk, exposure, leverage, settlement. Guilt is for people without lawyers. But his world shrank, assets frozen, consulting contracts terminated, board seats resigned, invitations disappeared. His name became the kind people lowered their voices around at conferences. Paige's consequences were less dramatic and more personal. She lost 2 major real estate clients after her emails became part of civil filings, her public mother brand vanished. She stopped posting curated photos. She started showing up to training, therapy, school meetings, and awkward conversations where no one applauded her for arriving late. That was the line I had to respect. Paige had harmed us. She had left. She had leaked. She had returned for bad reasons before finding better ones. She would never again be my wife. She might, with work, become a safer mother. Grace was allowed to want that. I was allowed to guard the pace. The court maintained my primary custody. Paige received structured daytime visits, then 1 supervised overnight after completing advanced asthma management and therapy recommendations. Nolan remained barred from contact. The first overnight nearly broke me. Not because I thought Paige would intentionally harm Grace, because trust does not grow back all at once. It grows like a damaged lung. Slowly, with checks. Paige sent updates without photos. 8:15 p.m. peak flow normal. Controller taken 10:30 p.m. sleeping. Humidifier on 1:40 a.m. coughing after dream. Rescue not needed. Sat up. Water. Breathing calm. Rechecked in 20 minutes. Grace called at 1:45. "Dad, I am here." Mom did square breathing. She did. She was bad at counting. "Do you want me to come?" Grace breathed into the phone. "No. I just wanted you to know." "Okay. She is trying." "I know. Trying sounds weird at night." "Yes, but I am okay." "Then I will see you in the morning. Bring pancakes." "Always." In the morning, Grace came home with messy hair, tired eyes, and a small smile. "Not terrible," she reported. That is a strong review. She gets medium points. Paige, standing behind her, looked like medium points had saved her life. Evelyn and I moved slower than everything else. Maybe because we both understood that speed had destroyed enough. We worked together. We argued about safety protocols, budgets, public statements, and whether Victor Lane had the emotional range of a filing cabinet. We took Grace to the school safety showcase when Grace invited Evelyn, not before. We had coffee in public, dinner with Tessa once, and one quiet walk along the airfield after a test flight landed safely. No hand-holding in front of Grace. That was Grace's rule. No couple weird until further notice, she said. Evelyn accepted the policy. I have worked under stricter boards. Grace liked that. At the school safety showcase, Grace presented her project, My Inhaler Is Not a Burden. She had drawn lungs, mountains, smoke routes, and a small rescue aircraft following a blue line around a fire zone. She included an asthma action plan with colored zones: green, normal breathing; yellow, warning signs; red, get help now. At the bottom, she wrote, People are not hard to love because they need care. Care is how love learns the route. I stood there reading it while the gym noise blared around me. Mia Foster came up beside me. She wrote that herself. I know. You look like you might cry. I am deciding against it. Good luck. Paige came and read it silently. She turned away before her tears made Grace uncomfortable. Evelyn stayed near the back until Grace waved her over. This is the route part, Grace told her. Evelyn leaned down. Northridge, kind of, but for breathing. That makes sense. Grace pointed to the red zone. If someone is in red, you do not ask if they are being dramatic. Evelyn's face changed. No, you help. Grace nodded. 2 points. Evelyn smiled softly. Thank you. After the showcase, Grace asked if Evelyn could come to dinner. Paige stiffened for half a second, then said, That sounds nice. I will see you Saturday. Grace looked at her. You are not mad? Paige shook her head. I am learning not to make every feeling your job. Grace considered. 3 points. Paige laughed through tears and quickly stepped away. That night, after Grace went to bed, Evelyn and I sat on the porch. The air smelled of thawing earth and distant fuel. The runway lights blinked beyond the fence. She is extraordinary, Evelyn said. She is 8. Both can be true. We sat in quiet, then Evelyn said, I care about you. I looked at her. She did not rush to fill the silence. I care about you, too, I said. I know Grace comes first. Yes. I do not want to replace anything. You could not. I know. I mean that kindly. I heard it kindly. The porch light hummed. Inside, Grace coughed once in her sleep. I paused, listening. No second cough, no wheeze. Evelyn noticed me listening instead of speaking. She waited. That was when I knew she had learned something real. Chapter 13. The first live clearski demonstration after the Black Pine review took place in late summer, not during a real fire. I refused that controlled burn perimeter, volunteer ground teams, 2 aircraft, 1 backup helicopter, independent safety observers, Caleb in the command trailer, suspicious of every number, Evelyn on site as CEO, me as technical safety lead, not pilot. Grace watched from a safe observation building with Tessa, Paige, and 3 other families connected to the rescue program. She wore a mask because smoke, even controlled smoke, was still smoke. Her inhaler pouch sat openly across her chest, no hiding, no spectacle. Before the test, she tugged my sleeve. Are you scared? Yes. Of flying? No. Of fire? Some. Of the system? Always enough? Good. Scared means checking. Exactly. She looked toward Evelyn, who was speaking with a safety team. Is she scared? Yes. Good. You are approving fear today. Safe fear. I crouched. Are you scared? She nodded. Do you want to leave? No. I want to see it help. I gave her the choice twice more. She stayed. The test began at 10:20. Wind from the west simulated communications interference. Ground team route shift. Clear sky identified a safer ridge path and warned against a lower valley approach due to smoke accumulation risk. The system did what David and I had built it to do before finance, ambition, and lies turned it into evidence. It warned early. It explained why. It gave humans time. When the lead aircraft confirmed the route, something in my chest loosened that had been locked since Black Pine. Evelyn stood beside me in the command trailer, eyes on the screen. "That is Northridge Lodge," she said. "Yes. My father would have loved this." "Yes." The test concluded successfully at 11:07. No cheers in the command trailer until Caleb finished reviewing data. He made everyone wait 4 full minutes. Then he said, "Acceptable." The room erupted. Caleb looked offended by happiness. Grace ran in after the all clear, mask still on, fox in hand. "Did it work?" "It worked," I said. She looked at the screens. "Did it help people breathe?" "It kept them out of the smoke." She nodded. "Then it worked." Evelyn approached. "Careful, Grace. Thank you for being here." Grace looked at her. "Did you make sure no one put me in the video?" "Yes. No public footage of you." "Good." Tessa whispered. Governance queen, Grace ignored her. Evelyn continued, "Your dad's work helped today." Grace looked up at me. "See, not sad thing." "No," I said, "not sad thing." After the demonstration, Crosswind announced the restored Clearski program without using my daughter's story. The release credited David Cross, Noah Bennett, independent investigators, and the safety teams. It acknowledged past failures and new governance. It did not turn suffering into advertising. That was one of Evelyn's biggest victories, not the product, the restraint. Nolan's trial process continued. Paige provided testimony in civil proceedings. It was humiliating for her. She did it anyway. One evening, after a deposition, she came to pick up Grace for a daytime visit. Her eyes were red, but she did not cry, Grace noticed. Part adult day, Paige smiled weakly. "Yes. Do you need me to hug you?" Paige took a breath. "I would like one, but you do not have to fix my feelings." Grace hugged her briefly. By choice, that was the only kind that mattered. Months passed. The medal sat in an evidence vault until the civil settlement finalized in criminal proceedings no longer required daily access to the physical object. When it came back, it arrived in a padded case with chain of custody documents and a letter from the court authorizing its return to me. I brought it home and placed it on the kitchen table. Grace stared at it. "It looks smaller," she said. "It always was. Can we put it in a box now?" "Yes." We bought a simple display case, not expensive, wood frame, glass front. Inside, we placed the medal, a small photo of David Cross, and a note, "David Cross, rescue before reputation." Grace added a tiny blue paper route behind it, Northridge. Then she went to her room and came back with something in her hand, a small handmade compass made of cardboard, string, and a laminated paper arrow. She had colored the arrow blue. "For the truck mirror," she said. I took it carefully. "What does it say?" She had written on the back in careful letters, "Home is the route back to people who stay." I had to sit down. Grace watched me. "Too much?" "No." "Sad?" "Yes." "Good sad or bad sad?" "Both." She nodded. "Mirrors should show roads." "Yes." We walked outside together. The old truck sat in the driveway, scarred, faithful, and badly in need of a wash. I took the metal off the mirror. For a second, my hand did not want to let go. 5 years, pain can become furniture if it stays long enough. Grace stood beside me without rushing. Finally, I placed the metal in its case. Then I hung the compass from the mirror. It turned slowly, catching afternoon light. No silver scorch, no dead man's last proof, a child's blue arrow, a route home. Chapter 14. The morning after I hung Grace's compass on the mirror, I drove her to school in the old truck. She sat in the back seat because she said front seats were for almost teenagers and adults with better snack discipline. Her fox was buckled beside her. Her inhaler pouch rested on her lap, not hidden under a blanket, not shoved into a backpack, not treated like something shameful. The compass swung under the mirror. Grace watched it. "Better," she said. "Yes." "Do you miss the medal?" I thought about lying. "No, but I miss David." "That is different." "Yes." "Do you think he likes the box?" "I think he likes the comp." She smiled. At school, Paige was waiting by the curb because it was her morning to attend Grace's parent-teacher conference. 6 months earlier, seeing Paige at school would have tightened every muscle in my body. That morning, it only made me alert. Alert was acceptable. Paige wore no perfume. She carried a notebook. She looked nervous. Grace hopped out. "Remember," Grace told her, "you can ask questions, but do not say delicate." Paige nodded solemnly. No delicate. Mia Foster met us inside. The conference was ordinary in the way miracles sometimes look ordinary. Reading level strong, math improving, art excellent, anxiety still present around alarms and conflict. But Grace used coping tools, asthma plan followed. Grace spoke up more. Paige asked where the updated action plan copy was kept. Mia answered. Paige wrote it down. Grace saw one point without saying it after school. Evelyn came by the airfield. She had just returned from Seattle where Crosswind's restructured board approved the permanent Clear Skies safety charter. Nolan was awaiting trial. Several former directors had resigned. Victor Lane remained board chair, but now had an independent safety committee looking over his shoulder, which improved him greatly, Evelyn found. Me in the hangar, charter passed, she said, with the safety clause unchanged. Victor survived. He asked whether we could make it less accusatory. And I told him safety feels accusatory only when you intend to argue with it.